G'day and welcome to Daily Insights and Storytellings with me, Moon Willow. While I think about it, would you mind hitting that subscribe button? And if you enjoyed this video or get anything from it, hit that thumbs up or the thumbs down. I also would like to remind you all that I do individual storytellings, and the booking form even for that is on my website, which I'll put the link at the bottom. And somehow I have come into the technological age at the ripe old age of 50, and I'm also on Instagram and I'm also on Facebook as well, so feel free to find me on there as well. I'd really appreciate it. I'm really enjoying the energies. Yesterday I noticed that I got caught up with sort of a negative thought process, and that wasn't helped by the rain and dark clouds that were there. But on the positive side of that, I saw the most amazing rainbows and went for my usual walk around the nature reserve close to me, and was treated to a double rainbow, which was absolutely stunning. And it was in that moment that I was reminded that it is so important just to take that deep breath and just notice and witness the beauty of the world that we live in. And then I saw the rainbow reflected in the river, and that was just absolutely stunning. And it reminded me that what we see, we reflect back. How we feel, we reflect out. And it's that constant sort of sharing. So we have a choice that we can share the positive side of ourselves or the negative side of ourselves. And that's not to dismiss those darker places within us, because they do exist. And I'm not suggesting we hide them, because if we hide them or push them down, they have a habit of tripping us up and can become that negative cycle. But if we show them with the light of a rainbow, show them with the light of the sun, we can actually see the beauty and how that created us as an individual. And I do believe that we are all beautiful. And it's just, as we sort of, what we project out is what we receive back. So part of the walk that I come across a lot of what I call two-leggeds and four-leggeds, and I must admit I much prefer to run into the four-leggeds, my dogs. I really miss my dogs. But it's just that acknowledgement of the other as we walk around. Now we can sort of turn inwards and ignore people, and they will experience us as sort of not necessarily pleasant. But if we walk around and smile, they'll smile back, and that helps lift our mood. And then the other side of that is if you say hello, good afternoon, some won't respond, but most do. And it just has that human connection, because we're all human beings walking on this planet trying to figure it out. And that's not easy for any of us. And if we get lost in our own world, we don't recognize that there are other people out there that are getting lost in their own world as well. And we miss that beautiful connection that we can have. And as I say, sometimes that doesn't work, but that doesn't matter. Even if I smile and say g'day, I feel better. And sometimes, as I say, they will respond, and that helps increase my mood. But if they don't, I just shrug my shoulders and end up getting sidetracked with clouds or birds, and find that quite amusing. And that really helps lift my spirit and help me work into that higher vibrational part of me that wants to continue finding that joy, that bliss moment on a regular basis. And no matter how dark the world appears, it's knowing that everything will be okay eventually, because I can still find that joy on a day-to-day basis in really simple places that doesn't cost anything. So that's that story for today. So I'm not entirely sure how that's going to fit in with the reading. They tend to. We'll find out. So we'll start with the trusted crystals. So if you focus on this, okay, that one's got caught in there. So we're still sitting with aventurine, so we're still, and that does link in very much with what I was just saying, is bringing that joy to our hearts and how we can actually translate that when we meet other people and have that pure love, unconditional love, that it doesn't matter what their response is going to be, that we're doing it from a heart-centered place, and that beautiful knowing that we're all trying our best in this world and it's, for whatever reason, has been created to be quite difficult, or we've been led to believe that it's quite difficult, and actually just changing that mindset and just going out and playing. And playing is just literally enjoying the breeze on our faces, enjoying the sound of the wind in the trees, noticing and witnessing the gorgeous rainbows that come about, and they only come about when there is rain mixed with a cloud. So no matter how damp or dark it feels, there is always the opportunity to see that gorgeous rainbow, which is ourselves. So we'll go, whoa, nearly lost you all, didn't mean to. Bear with me, there we go. So if you focus on the cards and give them a shuffle, and use the energy of all of us that are here. They're all bouncing out today. Okay. I have one card already because that one seemed to want to come out and play. And I'll just split the rest. Actually, that feels better. There is no rhyme nor reason. Okay, so today we've got the owl, a man and a woman. So this is shouting to me at the moment. We could take that as being a man or a woman as a separate individual. But I honestly think that this reading is certainly in regards to our heart space completely, and the owl is indicating that getting trapped in that negative cycle, getting trapped in those thought processes that we've been talking about a lot recently. And within each of us, whether we've got a male or a female body, regardless of sexual orientation or anything like that, we have elements within us that are masculine or logical. I don't know why I ascribe logical to masculine, but the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And sometimes, well, throughout society that I've noticed is that for men it's very difficult, and they're taught not to get in touch with their emotional self, their feminine self. And women, it's encouraged for us not to get in touch with our logical or what's perceived as a masculine self. And it's almost like oil and water. They're not meant to merge. They're not meant to meet, really. And so in using, I don't know why, but I've just had the memory that you use washing up liquid to join the two. So it's almost finding within that alchemical reaction, like having washing up liquid for mixing oil and water, it binds better. And it still has that sort of difference where it doesn't quite mix properly, but it merges more effectively. So it's like what this reading is saying to me is that we need to constantly continue to notice our thoughts, not get trapped in them. It's very tempting to avoid things that are difficult and painful. And we do it a lot, whether that be through watching the TV, playing solitaire, that's my favourite, reading a book. We can escape our thought process. We can try and escape us. But what I find is that works for a little while, and we can numb ourselves out from feeling or exploring or noticing what's going off. But there tends to be, the more we do that, it's like the stronger the reaction is to wake us up, as it were, and notice how we're going down that rabbit hole, how we're distracting ourselves, how we're avoiding ourselves. And I'm not suggesting that's a bad thing. And I feel that is one of our coping mechanisms in this world when we become too overwhelmed with everything that's going off. It's a bit like doing a meditation sometimes, but it's noticing the length of time that we're actually using that particular method to avoid what's going off. And I think it's like if you're trying to diet, and I never believe in dieting, because I don't think that it works. It's almost like sets you up for failing. If you are trying to watch what you eat, but you fancy a nice piece of chocolate, if you avoid and try and deny yourself that, you will invariably eat more of other things that are not necessarily good for you to avoid eating the chocolate you want. And then you will end up caving in, as it were, and eating a full block of chocolate to make up for it. Then you end up feeling bad because you've done that, and then you end up in this real negative cycle. So I think for me, the trick is, and it is a bit of a trick, but it's being aware that you're going to be doing that. So if you're trying to eat healthily, but you fancy some chocolate, it's then in that choice, it's like, okay, I understand I need chocolate. I know that this is going to help soothe me. I'm going to buy myself a nice piece of chocolate and I'm going to enjoy that. But at the end of that, that will satisfy that need so I can move on to the next one. And in the same way, if situations are becoming overwhelming or you don't know how to cope and you're just trying to hold on so that you can move forward, you can then make that clear decision. Okay, I don't know how to work this out. What I'd like to do is actually distract myself for an hour, half an hour, however long, and actually do that. And what I feel happens, and what I've seen for myself happens, is in that moment of actually doing what you want to do, you're allowing your subconscious to come up with connections as to how to deal with it. But it's when we sort of end up watching back-to-back episodes of telly or hours and hours of playing solitaire that takes us out of the real world, which although supports us on one level, if we don't realise that that's what we're doing, we can, like with the chocolate at the end of it, we can end up giving ourselves a hard time for wasting time. And I don't believe any time is wasted, because as I said, even in that moment where you're choosing to numb out, you're choosing to put your focus somewhere else, your subconscious mind is working out how to take that next step. But if you come out of doing that and start criticizing yourself because you have lost track of time, or you've wasted time, or you're not good enough, why have you done that again? All of that negative owl conversation that we have within, that you lose the part of that was the alchemical message that could have come through from that, because we invariably get into that loop that if we're giving ourselves a hard time, then we'll go back into doing it, and then we'll give ourselves a hard time again, and it gets into that really cyclical way. Whereas if you know that you're choosing to actually avoid a situation for a certain length of time because you don't know the answers, and allow yourself that space to do that, then as you come out of it, you don't jump straight into the negative cycle, straight into that guilt cycle that I call it, but you'll actually notice what information comes up from your subconscious mind. And that can give you some clues, but it also can help you see, like I did yesterday with the rainbow, it helps you see the positive bits of life at the same time, so you don't get mired in the darkness. So for me, this particular reading is about centering back into our hearts, taking that moment of 3 breaths, and it generally is 3 to center ourselves into our body, and notice whether we've got trapped in our logical mind or trapped in our fear, or trapped in our emotion. And how can we actually alchemicalize that particular internal response so that we can feel more whole, that we don't end up getting trapped within our bird mind of this is good, this you're not good enough, you've wasted time, you shouldn't have eaten that, all the shoulds out of Gestalt psychotherapy, and actually work out how to move forward in a more combined, loving and centered place. So I hope this one makes sense to some of you out there. I do believe that that's all the wanderings for today, and I'll just see what sound comes through for us at the same time. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I'm going to endeavour, I'm hoping that I'll be going on a trip by the end of today. We'll see which way the universe manages to take me or not, but that may have the implication that I may not be able to do this on a daily basis for a little while. I will endeavour to continue because I'm really enjoying the energies that we're producing together. And on that note, can I remind you to hit that subscribe button for me, and if you enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up. As I say, I am still able to do individual storytellings. The modern technology is amazing now that I'm beginning to get my head around it. So thank you ever so much for joining me in today's journey, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening, depending on when you're watching this. Love you all. Bye.